Again, it's a rich thing.
What is going on, guys? Welcome back. In today's video we're going to build a graphical user interface calculator with Python, so let us get right into it. Alright guys, so we're going to build something that looks like this. This is a graphical user interface calculator written in Python, and when we have this we can just press some buttons, for example 12 plus 3 times and then parentheses 5 minus 2, for example. So this would be 3 times 3 is 9. Plus 12 should be 21. As you can see, this is the result. We can clear that. We can type some nonsense here and then clear that as well. We can start with 8 times 9 plus 8 minus 6. I don't know. We don't need the parentheses here. And of course, we can try to do something like 8 divided by 0, and we're going to get an error here. So those exceptions are also handled, and this is what we're going to build in today's video using Python. And the only module that we're going to need for that is tkinter, which is part of the core Python stack, so it's not going to be too complicated. We're going to say import tkinter as tk, and we're going to have a basic calculation string. So we're going to build this in the following way. We're going to have a calculation string, which is going to be an empty string at first, and then we're going to have 3 functions, and one function is going to be add to calculation, and we're going to have a symbol as a parameter. We're going to pass for now. We're going to have evaluate calculation, which is going to just call the eval function and then do the necessary tkinter operations. And then we're going to have the clear field function. And for now, we're going to pass on all of those. Now, before we do anything with those functions here, we're going to have to build a basic window or a basic graphical user interface so that we can actually say, okay, we want to have a text field and we want to get the values from that text field. We want to clear that text field and so on. So the first thing we're going to do down here is we're going to say root equals, let me just look at my code here on the second screen, root equals tk.tk, and then of course we're going to define the basic stuff like the geometry of the window, so the dimensions and so on, and in the end we're going to call root.mainLoop. So this is everything in between is going to be the graphical user interface, but those are the 2 endpoints. So we create the object and we run the main loop. So next we're going to say root.geometry, and I chose for this project something like 300 times 275. And I think if we run this code, we should already see a graphical user interface, even though it's not going to do anything, but this is what we see already. So we have this window here in the proper size, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a text field for the result. So we're going to call this text underscore result. Is going to be tk.text, and it's going to be part of the root. It's going to have a height of 2, and it's going to have a width of 16, and the font is going to be Arial and 24. And of course we're going to say text result.grid because we're going to use a grid here, and we're going to say column span equals 5. So we're going to have this grid structure where we have 5 columns, and the text field should go across all the 5 columns. So we're going to run this, and we can actually see that we already have this. Down here is no text field. Up here we have a text field. So this seems to work. And actually, I think we can already start with the functions, because the functions need to address this text field, but they don't need to address any of the buttons. So we're going to start with the functions right away. And the first thing we want to do is we want to say, okay, calculation is going to be a global variable so that we can actually manipulate it inside of the function. And then we're just going to say calculation is going to be plus equal string of the symbol. So no matter if it's an integer or not, it's going to be typecasted into a string, added to the calculation string. And then we're going to say text result, which is what we have down here. And we're going to delete everything, and the notation here is a little bit confusing. We have to specify 1.0 here for the start, and the end is specified with the string end. So this is how we delete the whole content of the text result field. And then we're going to say text result dot insert. Again, 1.0 as the index where we insert the string, and the string itself is going to be the calculation. So this is quite a simple function. And the next function is going to be the evaluate calculation function. So let's say we have a string like 10 plus 3 times 4 minus 2 in parentheses and so on. This string can now be evaluated using the eval function. So this is just a Python function that evaluates Python statements. The function just looks like that, eval, and then you pass a string. Now the problem with that function is that it is not only for evaluating calculations, it can also evaluate Python code. And the problem with that is, of course, theoretically, someone could inject some code. So, of course, in this case, this is a graphical user interface calculator that you're just going to use for fun. So you're going to build this project in order to learn graphical user interface programming. You're not going to build it and put it online somewhere and connect it to your sensitive files. But theoretically, just be aware that this is a security issue because people can inject code into your program and then maybe do something with it. Just keep that in mind, that you don't get used to using the eval function. So what we're going to do here again is we're going to say global calculation, and then we're going to try. We're going to try because sometimes we're going to get an error. For example, if we try to divide by 0, and we're going to catch that exception with the except keyword. And in that case, we're going to pass, and up here we're going to say result equals string of the evaluated outcome. So we're going to evaluate the calculation. We're going to turn this into a string, and we're going to save that as a result. And then we're going to set calculation to nothing again. So we're going to reset it basically. Now you can also alternatively leave the result there so that the user can proceed right away. Maybe this is actually not stupid. So I actually didn't do it in the previous project that I showed you in the beginning. Maybe we're going to do it here. Let's just proceed as in the prepared code, but maybe we're going to change that later on. But for now, we can also say again, text result dot delete from 1 to end and dot insert. And we're gonna insert the result. Actually, I think we can, why not actually? Why not just say calculation equals that and do it right away? I think that makes sense, to be honest. It's a little bit more intuitive. And in the case that we have some error, what we're going to do is we're first of all going to clear the field. This is a function that we have not implemented yet, but it's basically just this here. And then we're going to say text result, or actually, do we need that if we do it anyways in the function down below? I don't think that. So we're going to clear the field, and then we're just going to say text result dot insert 1.0, and we're going to say error. Like that. And in the clear field function, this is going to be quite simple. We're just going to say again global calculation, just so that we can say calculation equals empty, and we're going to say text result delete from 1.0 up until end. There you go. So what do we have here? I think it's because we didn't specify. Yeah, we didn't specify any specific exception, but I don't want to do that for this video because we would have to think about all possible mistakes. But those are the functions, so the functionality is actually done. The only thing that we now need to do is we need to add a bunch of buttons that do something. And this is going to be a little bit tedious, but maybe if you haven't worked so much with tkinter, it's good to repeat the steps. So what we basically need to do is we need to create the individual buttons. So for example, btn_1 is going to be the button for the digit 1. And we're going to say tk button, part of the root window. So this is root, what we defined up here. And we're going to add this button to root. And the button is going to have a text. It is obviously going to be 1. And the button is going to have a command. And as a command, we're going to pass a lambda expression. And we're going to do that because otherwise we would not be able to pass a parameter that easily. So we're just going to say lambda, and we're going to pass add to calculation 1. So why do we do it like that? Why don't we just do it like that? The problem with this is that it would immediately call the function, whereas lambda just refers to a function that does this if called. So it's better to do it like that, or not just better, it wouldn't work the other way. So we would have to use a lambda expression here. And besides that, we say the width is going to be 5, and the font is going to be, you can choose whatever you want, but I'm going to go with Arial 14. So this is the button. Now we need to say btn1 dot grid. And here you need to specify where the button is going to be. And of course, it's going to be in the second row because the first row is occupied by the text field. So we have one row, 5 columns of the row are used by the text field here. So the second row, the first column is going to be the button. So we're going to say row equals 2 and column equals 1. And the usual column span is just going to be 1. So what we're now going to do is we're going to copy this, and we're going to do this all the time. So we're going to do this for 2. We're just going to change button 1 to button 2. We're going to change the text to 2. We're going to change the parameter here to 2, so add to calculation 2. The rest stays the same, and down here, of course, we need to place it in a different position. So row 2 and column 2, for example. So I'm going to show you what this looks like if we run this right now. At the moment, we have a text field up here, and we have 1, 2. And when we have all the buttons, it's going to be, this is row 2, position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to have a bunch of different columns here. So let me end this, and we're going to copy that again, and we're going to paste it. We have 2 already, so let's paste it 7 or 8 times. 8 times, there you go. And we're going to change that. We're going to say 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7. Oh, what did I do? 7, 7, 8, 8, 9, 9, and 0, 0. So those are the buttons. And of course, we need to change everything here. So we need to change this to 3, this to 4, this to 5, this to 6, this to 7. As I said, it's going to be a little bit tedious because we need to do a lot of repetitive work, but this is what you need to do here. In this case, 0. And of course, also the parameter. Don't forget anything. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 0. And last but not least, we need to think about the columns. So we have row 2, column 1, 2, 3, no, actually not 4. Actually, we start the columns with 1, but we're going to have the fourth one is going to be the plus. So we're going to say this is again column 1, 2, 3, but of row 3. So we're going to say this is row 3, this is row 4, and this is going to be 1, 2, 3. This is going to be 4, 4. And this one, we're going to place this, where did I place it before? I think I placed it in between. We're just going to place it at row 5 for now. Or what did I do? I placed it row 5, column 2. So this should be fine. Let's see what this looks like now. As you can see, we have a basic numpad. Now here we would have or we would want to have the parentheses, I guess. So 1 here, and then down below we would want to have the clear and the equal sign. And here we would want to have plus, minus, multiplication, and division. And that should be it actually for a basic calculator. So we're now going to copy this one more time. And we're going to change this to actually plus. And the text is not going to be 0, but a plus symbol. And what we add to the calculation is going to be a string this time. And it's going to be the plus string. And we're going to place this at row 2, but in the 4th column. So this should work. Let's see. Okay, no, we actually placed a 0 at the wrong position. Why is that? Oh, because I used 0 here. We need to say plus. There you go. And now we're going to copy this 3 times. And we're going to change this to minus. We're going to change this to minus as well. We're going to change this to multiplication. We're going to change this to multiplication. We're going to change this to division. And we're going to change this to division. Of course, we're also going to change the symbols. And we're going to change the rows. And of course the parameter. There you go. So now 4 buttons are missing. We need the parentheses and we need the clear and the equal sign. And for this we're going to say, I think the parentheses are going to be pretty normal, so we're going to just call them button. I'm going to call open and close. So for opening parentheses like that, we're just going to add just an opening bracket. And let me just think, where was it? We place it in the row 4, I think, right? Because we have row 4. No, it's not 4. It's row 5, but column 1 and 3. So we change this to 1. No, actually we change this to 5. We change this to 1. We copy that. We change this to close. We change this to close. We change this to column 3. And we change the text here to a closing bracket. And we change the parameter to a closing bracket. And now we should have everything except for clear and for equals. And for those, we're just going to make 2 more buttons. We're going to say btn equals. It's going to be a button with an equal sign. And we're going to also add to the calculation an equal sign. And down here, we're going to place this as at row 6. And we're going to place this at column 1. But we're going to place this with a column span of 2. Because we don't have enough buttons to fill up the space. So just so you see what that means, this button is going to be, oh, actually we need to also change the width to 11. It's just a number that works with the layout. So this is what it would look like then. It's a little bit larger, or twice as large as the other buttons. But the equals sign is actually what I want to have at the right. So we're going to say column equals 3, and we're going to copy that. I'm going to paste it above this time. We're going to have the button clear, and this is going to just be a C. And it's going to call not the add to calculation, but it's going to call the clear field function. In this case, since we don't take any parameters, we can remove the lambda and we can remove the parentheses, because now we're passing an actual function. If we add the parentheses, we're calling the function. We don't want to call the function. We want to pass the function as an entity. So this works. With parameters, we have to use lambda expression. And down here, we say evaluate. So we change this as well to evaluate, or what did I call it? Evaluate calculation without parentheses, of course. And now, did we miss anything? We have clear grids. Yes, we need to change this to 1, obviously, but the rest should be fine. So let's see if it's done. Did I forget anything but that? I don't think so. So actually, if I say 12 plus 8 equals, no, something does not work. Why doesn't it work? What is the problem here? Evaluate calculation is the command. This should actually work. So what happens? Global calculation. Calculation is string. Evaluate calculation. Now let's see if that one thing that I made differently here, or that I did in a different way here, is going to be the problem. And if not, we're going to troubleshoot, but I just want to make sure that I'm not overlooking anything obvious here. So let's see if this would work. 12 plus 8. No, it still doesn't work. So something is wrong with the button or with the function. We have the button equals tk button. Command is evaluate calculation. And I did it in the same way in the prepared code. So what could be the problem here? We say global calculation result is the evaluation of the calculation. Let's just print what we have in the calculation before we delete it. So let's say print calculation. So for troubleshooting here. Okay, this doesn't even trigger. That's a problem. Or at least, does it actually execute this function? Not sure. Okay, so it doesn't print anything. So this button doesn't seem connected. Okay, obviously, I have the lambda here. Could have seen that. I didn't, so now it should work. 12 plus 8 equals 20. There it works. So it should also work, by the way, now the way we had it before, with calculation being that, and also this here being calculation. Let's see. So 12 plus, let's say, 3 times 8 minus 3. So 15 basically, plus 12 should be 27. There you go. And now plus 9 should be 36. There you go. And divided by 0 should be error and clear. Okay, everything seems to work. That's fine. This is how you build a basic graphical user interface calculator in Python. Alright, so that's it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. If so, let me know by hitting a like button and leaving a comment in the comment section down below. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell to not miss a single future video for free. Other than that, thank you very much for watching. See you in the next video, and bye.